The screen glowed back at me, frustration etched on my face. Another late night, another bug bounty program, another dead end. I'd spent days running automated scanners hoping for a breakthrough but only found duplicates and dead ends. It felt less like a strategic hunt and more like buying a lottery ticket. My approach was chaotic, jumping between tools and targets with no real plan. Each report I submitted was closed as not applicable or duplicate, draining my motivation. I was burning out, convinced I'd hit my ceiling. We celebrate the big wins in InfoSec but rarely talk about the grind and the feeling of being stuck. I had the tools and basic knowledge but no repeatable workflow, just randomly drilling holes hoping to build a house. Something had to change. The breakthrough didn't come from a new tool, a zero-day exploit, or a lucky guess. It wasn't the result of some sophisticated software or a brilliant, never-before-seen technique. I wasn't staring at a complex piece of code when the answer revealed itself. It came when I finally admitted my entire approach was fundamentally broken and unsustainable. I had to face the harsh reality that my previous methods were simply not cutting it. The late nights, the endless trial and error, the constant frustration. It all pointed to a need for a serious change. It was time to stop blindly chasing vulnerabilities and start searching for a structured methodology, a proven framework, a systematic way of approaching the challenge. I needed to learn from the experts to understand the principles that underpin successful penetration testing and bug bounty hunting. While scouring the internet for answers, I stumbled upon an article by Ibtisam Hamadi. It wasn't a groundbreaking revelation, but it was a crucial piece of the puzzle. The article detailed a recon checklist, a simple yet structured process for conducting reconnaissance. It was a step-by-step guide, a roadmap for systematically gathering information about a target. The core idea was to meticulously map the target's entire attack surface before even thinking about launching any exploits or running vulnerability scanners. Understand the landscape before engaging. I decided to commit to this checklist, to give it a fair shot. I dedicated myself to following it religiously for 1 full week. I chose one specific program to focus on and resolved to start with exhaustive reconnaissance, leaving no stone unturned. I would resist the urge to jump ahead and focus solely on gathering information. It felt incredibly slow and tedious at first, especially compared to my previous, more impulsive approach. But I decided to trust the process, to have faith that this structured methodology would eventually yield results. The checklist forced me to be meticulous, to pay attention to the smallest details, and to truly understand the target's infrastructure, its technologies, and its potential weaknesses. I began to shift from a wild, unfocused hunter, firing off exploits at random, to a careful, deliberate sniper, patiently lining up the perfect shot. And then within that first week, the fog of confusion and frustration finally lifted. Small, seemingly insignificant discoveries started piling up, one after another. The momentum was building. Each new subdomain I uncovered or previously unknown API endpoint I identified felt like a significant win, a step forward in the right direction. The structured approach bred confidence and a sense of control. I realized I wasn't just hoping for luck anymore. I was actively creating my own opportunities through diligent research and systematic exploration. This wasn't just a minor adjustment, it was a complete overhaul, a fundamental transformation of my entire bug hunting philosophy. It was a new beginning. When embarking on any cybersecurity assessment, the initial steps are absolutely critical. Laying a solid foundation ensures that subsequent efforts are targeted and effective. The first and most crucial step is subdomain enumeration. This process involves discovering all the subdomains associated with a target domain. Most beginners rush this, eager to jump into exploiting vulnerabilities. They end up grabbing only the obvious subdomains and moving on, thinking they've covered all the bases. A huge mistake that can lead to missed opportunities and a false sense of security. Subdomain enumeration uncovers forgotten corners, the hidden pathways within an organization's digital presence, of a company's digital empire, revealing assets that might not be immediately apparent. These often overlooked areas are where security is often weakest, making them prime targets for attackers. Large organizations have sprawling assets, a complex web of interconnected systems and applications. This includes temporary sites, spun up for specific campaigns or short-term projects. Then there are staging environments, used for testing and pre-production deployments. And of course, old projects, remnants of past initiatives that may no longer be actively maintained. These are often neglected by security teams, falling outside the scope of regular monitoring and patching. These forgotten subdomains lurking in the shadows can become easy entry points for malicious actors. They are where the gold is buried, the hidden vulnerabilities and misconfigurations that can lead to significant security breaches. A thorough process combines a range of techniques to maximize discovery. This includes both passive and active techniques, each offering unique advantages in uncovering subdomains. It starts with querying public data sources, gathering information that is readily available online, and extends to brute forcing with word lists, systematically attempting to guess subdomain names. Passive recon uses DNS aggregators and certificate logs. These resources provide a wealth of information without directly interacting with the target. Active recon probes for hidden assets, actively scanning the network to identify live subdomains. By combining both, you create a more comprehensive and effective approach. I expanded my attack surface, significantly increasing the potential avenues for exploitation. This went from a handful of domains to hundreds, revealing a much larger and more complex landscape than initially anticipated. I found legacy apps, outdated web applications that were no longer actively maintained. I also discovered exposed admin panels, providing unauthorized access to sensitive administrative functions. And perhaps most concerning, forgotten APIs, undocumented and unsecured interfaces that could be exploited to access critical data. Without a complete map, without a clear understanding of all your subdomains, you're wandering blind, vulnerable to attacks that exploit these unknown and unprotected assets. With it, you can focus your efforts, directing your resources towards the areas that pose the greatest risk. This allows you to prioritize remediation efforts where they matter most, ultimately strengthening your overall security posture. For subdomain enumeration, you need the right tools, not dozens, just a reliable few. My core trio: Amass, CRT.SHE, and FFYUF. Amass is the heavyweight, integrating data from APIs, archives, and DNS records for a comprehensive map. It forms the backbone of passive recon, uncovering assets you'd never find manually. CRT.SH lets you search certificate transparency logs for subdomains, revealing hidden gems. FFUF is my go-to for active brute forcing, blasting through word lists to find more. This combination, deep passive discovery, certificate insights, and active brute forcing, gives me the most complete attack surface possible. It's not about tool quantity, but how you use them. With this trio, I know I'm not missing anything critical. Following the checklist was tough, but the payoff was immediate. In 1 week, I found 12 valid bugs, proof that structure works. The expanded attack surface revealed opportunities I'd always missed. Among the bugs, 3 XSS vulnerabilities, 2 on a neglected marketing subdomain running outdated software. Another XSS was in a feedback portal, found by manually inspecting forgotten apps. I uncovered 2 IDORs, one on a partner portal with sequential user IDs, another in a staging API. The biggest find, an SSRF on an internal report generator exposed to the public, letting me access internal network services. These weren't scanner finds. They were the result of methodical manual work. That SSRF alone was worth more than months of random scanning. The method paid off. My journey into the world of bug bounties wasn't always smooth sailing. There were definitely moments of frustration, dead ends, and lessons learned the hard way. But through it all, one thing became abundantly clear. It highlighted exactly where most aspiring hunters stumble and ultimately fall short of their goals. It's a common pattern I've observed, and understanding these pitfalls is crucial for anyone serious about succeeding in this field. The biggest mistake, the most pervasive and damaging error that I see time and time again? Impatience, that burning desire to find a quick win, to skip the necessary groundwork and jump straight to the juicy vulnerabilities. This often manifests as skipping foundational steps like thorough subdomain enumeration. It's the equivalent of trying to build a house without a solid foundation. Many grab a few quick results from a cursory scan, thinking they've covered their bases. Then they immediately start hunting on the main site, focusing all their energy on the most obvious target, all the while ignoring the real opportunities that lie hidden on obscure, less trafficked subdomains. These forgotten corners of the web are often gold mines waiting to be discovered. Another pitfall, a common oversight that can blind you to critical vulnerabilities, is ignoring client-side JavaScript. Many hunters simply overlook it, assuming it's not a significant attack vector, but in reality, it often hides API endpoints, hard-coded secrets, and critical logic clues that can unlock significant vulnerabilities. Over-reliance on automated scanners is another trap, a seductive shortcut that promises efficiency but often delivers a false sense of security. They're great at identifying common bugs, the low-hanging fruit that everyone else is already looking for. but they invariably miss the complex, logic-based flaws that require human intuition and a deep understanding of the application. Tools should augment manual testing, enhancing your capabilities, not replace it entirely. Think of them as assistants, not substitutes. The real value, the truly unique findings, comes from exploring the terrain yourself, from getting your hands dirty and digging deep into the application's inner workings. Finally, lacking a repeatable workflow is a silent killer that slowly erodes progress and stifles growth. Without a checklist, a defined set of steps to follow, you're essentially wandering in the dark. And if you're wandering in the dark, you can't effectively refine your process or learn from your successes and failures. A documented workflow, even a simple one, creates a baseline for improvement, a point of reference to measure your progress and identify areas for optimization. The best hunters, the ones who consistently find high-impact vulnerabilities, build and perfect their own methodology over time. Without structure, without a clear plan of attack, you're stuck in a frustrating cycle of random scans, superficial investigations, and ultimately, missed opportunities. Process is everything. It's the foundation upon which all successful bug bounty hunting careers are built. In cybersecurity, we love our tools, but tools alone aren't the answer. The most advanced scanner is useless without a process. A simple tool, used methodically, becomes powerful. My success came from adopting a workflow, not finding a new tool. A checklist ensures consistency. You never skip steps even when tired. It's your safety net, catching what you might miss. A defined workflow allows you to improve. Test new techniques, measure results, and refine your approach. This is how you evolve as a hunter-controlled experiments, not random guesses. The top hunters have refined, scientific methodologies built over thousands of hours. Their workflow systematically increases their odds of success. Bug hunting becomes a game of skill, not chance. The checklist was my first step toward professional discipline. After my breakthrough, I connected with other hunters and saw my experience echoed everywhere. The article that inspired me resonated with hundreds. People wanted strategy, not shortcuts. Many shared the same frustrations, stuck in a rut, finding only duplicates. The recon-first approach was a revelation for many. Top hunters don't talk about exploits first. They talk about mapping attack surfaces and building word lists. They obsess over reconnaissance because most of the work happens before the first exploit. The community's best voices all preach process over tools. Seeing others succeed with structure gave me confidence. The bug bounty world is shifting from, here's how I hacked X, to here's the process I used. And that's a good thing. If my story resonates, it's time to change your approach. Stop treating bug bounties like a lottery, start treating them like a science. There are no shortcuts. Real success comes from patient, structured work. You don't need secret tools, just discipline and a process. Build your own recon checklist and master subdomain enumeration. Learn your tools deeply, but use your brain to connect the dots. Let tools assist, not replace your manual review. My path from frustration to a dozen bugs was paved with process, not luck. Trade chaos for order and random shots for a calculated hunt. Write down your steps, follow them, and refine them. Take that first step, your map to buried treasure is waiting.